Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the November meeting of the Long Island Committee. Are there any public comments? Okay, thank you very much. Approval of the minutes of October 21st. Second, any questions on the minutes? All approved. Okay, Joseph, MTA bus, Long Island bus.
Good morning, members of the committee. There are no changes to the work plan this month. My next item is Operation and Performance Report. Overall, September's performance was strong. AM and PM weekday pullouts and completed trips were all above 99% for both the month of September and the prior 12 months. MDBF in September was 3980, which was 116% above September of 2008. Some great numbers, and I want to thank my team. Excellent numbers. It represents the best numbers for September since 2006. Fleet performance has improved as a result of getting all the bugs out of the new buses and some best practices in maintenance that we've applied from the other MTA bus operations. October also looks like it's going to be a record month as we're finalizing some of those final figures. The 12-month MDB average is 14% higher than it was a year ago. In regard to safety performance, the 12-month rate for bus collisions per million miles worsened by 7.7% from last year. And as you remember, we changed some of the ways we rate accidents and count collisions. So now that they're counted the same way for all three bus companies. So that's why it's a slight increase. But also the monthly safety results as compared for the 12-month average is 3.8% better than it was a year ago. The 12-month rate for employee lost time accidents improved by 16% from the 2008 level, but bus ridership continues to trend downward for the past 12 months and through September. Total fixed ridership decreased by 6.1% for the month of September, and was down 5.3% for the previous 12 months. Average weekday ridership was down 6.7% for the month of September and down 5% for the 12-month period. Weekend ridership was also down 0.7% for the month and down 5.3% for the 12-month period. However, paratransit ridership continues to increase. As compared to 2008, ridership was up 3.4% for September and 5.8% for the previous 12 months.
Well, Joe, are we seeing on the reduction in passengers, obviously in a weekday, are we seeing that on any specific routes, or is it system-wide?
It seems to be system-wide, but we still have several routes that the ridership is very heavy on. It's basically the counterflow continues. We're going to make some more adjustments in January to a few of these routes, and all these adjustments we're doing, we're trying to attract ridership in doing some of the adjustments. It's the ridership out of Jamaica Terminal that we're trying to play with and add some numbers and make it a clock face headway and changing some of the things as you saw last time, so the patterns on Saturday are the same patterns on Sunday and things of that nature, trying to attract some ridership.
Okay.
Okay, the fixed route fare box revenue was lower than the mid-year forecast by 2.3% for the month of September, and year-to-date it's 1.8% below the mid-year forecast. Paratransit farebox revenue was better than the mid-year forecast by 24.6% for the month of September, and it's 6.4% above forecast year-to-date. Actual non-reimbursable expenses before non-cash adjustments were lower than mid-year forecast by $3.8 million or 4.1%. This underrun was primarily because of lower CNG fuel expenses and favorable adjustments to forecasted expenses for claims and timing-related underruns for maintenance contracts. This month's work plan includes an action item for annual review and approval of the Long Island Committee Charter. As you may know, all committee charters are being revised to include new language on transparency. This charter will be raised for formal approval later during Helena's portion of the agenda.
Okay.
We don't have any procurements or ratifications for the committee's approval this month. And next, I'd like Norm Silverman to talk about some service adjustments.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is one service adjustment we have in your agenda. It's a very, very minor change on a route that's dedicated, a peak period only route that's dedicated to connect with the Long Island Railroad in Hicksville and serve an industrial complex or complexes in the Woodbury area. And what we're doing there is changing the route path. So instead of a continuous one-way loop, we're making it a bidirectional service that we think, hopefully, this is a very underutilized service. It only has 4 round trips a day. We're going to adjust the schedule so it goes to 3 round trips a day, but we hope by making this slightly longer route, it's not longer in time, but a little longer resource, but by providing bidirectional service, we hope that we're going to attract a few more people. It's, as I said, it's very low utilization right now, and as Joe indicated earlier, we're doing everything in our quiver of arrows to try to encourage additional ridership. This is one of the things that we came to because the route is underutilized, and we're trying to do what we can to promote additional ridership. It's pretty much
Okay.
so.
Any questions about that? Okay. Good.
Okay. That we expect the service change to reduce annual operating costs by about $77,000 a year. Norm?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Principally due to the schedule, a slight schedule reduction.
And
Yes.
we do marketing with the companies in the industrial park to let them know that it is happening and
Oh, sure. We will let them know. Sure. We will let
encourage
we put
people to do it.
Yeah, we put notices on board the bus, and we will let the industrial complex know. And the new schedule we're going to go to is going to be, as Joe indicated, a clock-face schedule. It'll be every hour for a 2-hour period. So it'll be a memory-type schedule that's very easy for the customer to remember. And to the extent we can, we'll be coordinating with the railroad arrivals and departures in Hicksville.
Okay.
Okay. I'd also like to note that the shuttle bus service we provided during the Valley interlocking project went very well. During the weekend, October 4th and 25th, we provided service on the branches from Jamaica to West Hempstead, Freeport, and Far Rockaway. We used 160 operators each day and 126 buses above our normal Saturday, and it went really well. The weather and everything, I know that was a little bit of an issue, but overall everything went great, and I'd like to thank my people for that. And that's the end of my...
Okay. Any questions for Joe? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Joseph.
Okay.
Alina?
And just to accommodate the fact that we have an agenda item for both Long Island Bus and Long Island Railroad,
Right.
we'd ask if you turn to the action item first, and it is a review of the committee charter, as Joe referenced. And these, really major change is language that was included on Section 4, committee meetings. And as Joe mentioned, it creates an affirmative obligation for both the president of the Long Island Railroad and president of Long Island Bus to furnish relevant materials, provide the chairperson of the committee with all information regarding affairs of his or her organization that will help promote, efficient and effective monitoring and oversight of our operations, inform the chairperson of the committee of any matters not already on the agenda that should be added. And again, this increases accountability on our part and transparency for the public. So with that, we would request that you adopt the charter.
Any questions on the charter? Nancy, go ahead. Second, any questions? All in favor? Aye. Okay.
And before Joe leaves, we'd also like to add our thanks and outstanding job by Long Island Bus in support of our Valley Interlocking project. We thought it went tremendously, and it was just a terrific success for us, and we couldn't have done it without your organization.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we're going to turn now back to the regular agenda, and we will start with Mark Young on the financial report.
Morning. Obviously, this is an earlier meeting than usual, so it was a little difficult to get the ridership numbers for October, but I do want to thank
I gave you
Jan.
the ridership numbers for the 747 out of Deer Park this morning. And the standee numbers, I'll tell you that much. That I can get you.
And what are they?
There must have been 100 people standing on that train this morning. Train was packed this morning, including yours truly standing all the way. But that's beside the point. But as I said to Helena when I saw this, I think we were giving something away this morning. Train was absolutely packed. And that doesn't mean, as we talk, people not sitting in the middle seat. All the middle seats were full also in the cars that I were in. So it was like, but that's good, I guess. We need the money.
We'll see what November looks like. But I do want to thank Giannis Takos, marketing director. He stayed late on Friday to get us some of these numbers so I could report to you on October. The October was the ridership was slightly less than it had been in September. So total we were down 5.6%. Commutation was down 7.2%. Again, due to the fact that we have 108,000 less jobs in the city in the key financial key areas is really affecting our commutation ridership. Non-commutation was down 3.1%. Most categories of non-com tickets were down. Part of that may have been that we did have the Valley Interlocking project, and perhaps riders stayed away on that weekend a bit. That affects the number there. That brings total ridership year to date to down 5%, of which, as you know, most of that we've already factored into our budget. We're down 6.2% on commutation and down 3.2% year to date on non-commutation. Those are the critical figures for October. We'll report the final numbers in the next committee book. And with that, I'll turn to Jerry Ring for the budget report.
Good morning. A summary of the Railroad's financial report for September can be found on page 5 of the Railroad section of the book. More detailed financial statements on accrued and cash are provided on the subsequent charts. Total revenue was unfavorable to forecast for the month of September by 6% and year-to-date by less than 1%. A major driver is fare box revenue. September fare box revenue of $45 million is under the forecast by 1%. And year-to-date, fare box revenue of $378 million is unfavorable to forecast by $3 million, or just under 1%. The drivers are, as Mark Young has been describing over the last few meetings, is the drop in ridership. Shifting to expenses, looking at the numbers before factoring in depreciation and non-cash items, we are running favorable to the mid-year forecast in terms of expenses. September expenses totaled $112 million, which is 5% favorable to forecast. Year-to-date total expenses of $993 million are $28 million, or 2.8% favorable to forecast. Labor expenses remain close to forecast for both the month of September and year-to-date. Shifting for 1 second to positions, since we're discussing labor, a summary chart of headcount can be found on page 15 of the Long Island Railroad report. At the end of September, there were 6,800 active positions compared to a forecast of 6,862, resulting in 56 vacant positions. The three major operating departments had a vacancy rate of less than 1% versus mid-year forecast. Returning to expenses, non-labor expenses remained favorable to forecast for September and year-to-date. Year-to-date, non-labor is $28 million, or 10% favorable to forecast, and this is driven by the timing of a few key items and a few major contracts. The resulting fare box operating ratio for September was almost 45%, which is 0.5 points above the forecast. There are no major budget issues to report at this time. Are there any questions?
Any questions at all? Okay.
So this is a rhetorical question, I guess. The drop in revenue for both, it's all because of the economy.
It's all
Job loss.
job loss in the city.
They're not getting in their cars.
No, I don't think so. Then they're not going anywhere. That's the problem.
I think that's the issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it's interesting to see that the, non-commutation is just slightly coming back a little bit. But, you don't know exactly what that's a predictor of, but we're watching it.
Plus, we didn't have any baseball games in October, unlike Metro North, or November. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's a very important part of our budget for 2010, so they better get better in that context.
You got to bring it back.
Parade Day, that's right. All those things, that's right. That's right.
Okay, and with that, we're going to turn to status of operations. Ray Kenny.
Good morning, everyone. The operating report starts on page number 26 of the Long Island Railroad section of the book. Our month-to-date on-time performance, the overall on-time performance for October finished at 95.15%. That is tied for the record, tied with the year 2002. Our AM peak on-time performance was 94.86%. The PM peak on-time performance was 95.32%, and the off-peak on-time performance was 95.19%. Our year-to-date through October 31st overall is a new record, 95.54%. The AM peak is 96.01, which is also a new record. The PM peak is 93.92, and the off-peak on-time performance is 95.73, which is also a new record. There were 3 100% rush hours in October, all in the morning. Year-to-date, there have been 66 100% rush hours. That sets us at number 2 in terms of a record. Car availability, all but 2 days, we met the car availability number. And the mean distance between failure, this is for September because we lag a month. The M7 MBDF exceeded the increased goal of 300,000, and the MBDF goal was also exceeded for the M3, DE, DM, and the total fleet. The most significant,
Even on the diesels
yes,
that month.
Yeah.
So hopefully the extra activities and resources we're putting into that issue is finally seeing some success in that regard, because there's a substantial increase in that aspect of it.
yes, and also it was a mainstay of our Valley program. That'll be reported next month, but
Okay.
it was a mainstay of that.
Okay. Good morning, Ira.
Good morning.
The most significant major event occurred on the first day of the month, October 1st. We had a broken rail during the morning rush hour between Floral Park and New Hyde Park that resulted in 51 late trains. And, of course, both Joe and Helena made reference to the Valley Project, which is a huge success. And as Helena and Joe both pointed out, with the help of Long Island Bus and with the planning and execution, and also with the help of the MTA police all through the project.
Yeah, I mean, the other aspect of that, from an operational standpoint, it was clearly a success. But I think also from a marketing standpoint, and I don't mean marketing by getting people on it, but marketing by telling people what else they could do to get to where they had to go, it was clearly a success, because you could not, the amount of resources and communication that the railroad put into making sure that everybody, even though you can't make sure everybody, or most people knew what was going on, what their alternative routes could be, and how you could get someplace, I think was very, very exceptional. And I wanted to congratulate the railroad for that. People, I think, understand the inconvenience. Things have to be fixed. But as long as they are informed how else to get there, that's what they always want. And I think the railroad did an exceptional job in that. So, Helena, you and your staff, I think, should be very, very pleased with that.
Thank you very much. We did get some very good feedback, and we were pleased with the public outreach.
I would just want to add to that people on the commuter council also said that there was seat drops. Everyone was well aware of this project, and there was one question about whether weekend riders knew, but I think everybody did know, and I want to congratulate the railroad on the information given. I think it was the best effort yet. Thank you.
And we actually are very aware of sometimes our weekend riders aren't as exposed, so we started several weekends in advance with a special weekend seat drop just to make sure we were reaching out to those customers as well. I do have to compliment, I know last month I showed you the video that we did and that we were showing everywhere in Penn and Jamaica. The crew did actually a Saturday to Sunday overnight video showing all of the work that was taking place, and then put it up on Facebook. And there really was an extraordinary piece of video editing, really showing exactly what was going on, welding and bus riders. It was a terrific piece of work, I thought, and how they managed to do that in a 24-hour period was exceptional.
Well, I think, October was interesting because the railroad had two major infrastructure improvements in the same month for which you got. I'm not going to tell you which one I think is more important, but obviously Valley Interlocking was very important to Ray, and the Penn Station bathrooms were very important to everybody else. So in that context, both of which got very great kudos. And as I said, I'm not going to tell you which one is more important, but we'll just let both of them go at the same juncture. That's right. Very subjective.
The Commuters Council has been very concerned about bathrooms, so I think
Yes.
that's fine. Long-term, Valley is obviously more important from a long-term perspective, operational. So,
Obviously. Sorry, Ray. Go ahead.
That concludes the report. I'm ready for any questions anybody may have.
Any questions on operations?
Just a
Ira?
brief comment about I do want to note the better performance of the diesel fleet, and I know we have a meeting coming up with the diesel task force and the diesel dudes, and I appreciate the arrangement of that and look forward to it. I just want to say, looking at these statistics and talking to I did, as Commissioner Shevel noted to me last meeting, I did talk to the Commuters Council about the statistics, and now they're online. I'm asking our Commuters Council to look at them and come up with, whether if their personal experience is reflected in this or not, and maybe we can look at some point in the future, look to changing, not necessarily changing, but maybe having different statistics that reflect the riders' experience better than this. If there's a difference in the way people feel their delays, or how much they're delayed, or the standard of service, I think that we could start a dialogue with that, and I look forward to that. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and with that, we're going to turn to our police report with Chief Finneran.
Good morning. The crime report is
morning.
located on page 44 in the Long Island section of the book. I would like to report on the crimes that for the month of October, our larcenies are down by 50%, 5 in 2009 as compared to 10 in 2008. And we'll continue to monitor our larcenies because that seems to be our biggest problem. And as Ray had mentioned, for the Valley Interlocking, we deployed officers at the major busing locations and also along the central branch for extra patrols on that branch due to the increase in train traffic. And as everyone knows, it went very, very well. So I'm happy to report on that, too, from a police standpoint.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and Kevin Tomlinson with the capital program report.
Good morning. The capital program highlights are found in Section 5 and include 3 milestones for the month of October, including the cutover of Valley Interlocking that Helena spoke about earlier. In addition to that, we achieved the beneficial use of the new station building, which houses the ticket office, the waiting room and restrooms, and the platform waiting room at Valley Stream Station in this past month. And also, we had the design completion of the future MTA police facility at Merrick. The standard project updates for Central ISEP Police Facility, Atlantic Avenue Viaduct, East Side Access, Atlantic Terminal, and the Mainline Corridor Improvements projects are found in that section also. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions on capital? No?
I just have
Okay.
a quick comment. I noticed that the capital program goals were 137% of the plan for commitments, which is, exceedingly good, and I think we should maybe convey that to the Citizens Budget Commission, who came out with a report rather critical of the MTA regarding commitments, sort of the diminished expectations breakfast I attended. To combat that, I think. Anyway.
Okay.
All right, and next we have an information item that is part of our work plan, and that is a gap remediation update on page 49 of the Long Island section of the book. I'm very pleased to note the progress we've made on the installation of the 2-inch threshold plates with 706 M7 cars. 84% of our M7 fleet have been fitted with the new threshold plates. We're ahead of our planned schedule, and we would note that we are seeing a decrease in the number of gap accidents, so that we do think the combination of the threshold plates, the red stripping we're doing along as edge board, the aggressive outreach to customers with regard to our safety awareness campaign, our celebrity announcements, our crew announcements. We're trying to keep that level of consciousness very high. We go into the holiday season, and that's when we sometimes see an uptick in accidents as people rush and they're unfamiliar with the system. So I've tapped our video crew, Pete Palmero, to do a video for us, just to, remind everybody about gap safety, take your time, board cautiously. People with packages, small kids, strollers, those are the group that need to pay the most attention. But we're very pleased with the results, and we'll keep moving on the threshold plates for completion. With that,
Any questions on the gap issue?
right?
One, I'd like to see some statistics, if you have them, that take out the numbers for Flushing Meadows, Flushing Station. I don't want to call it any of those other names, but that station seemed to have
Main Street?
No. Shea Station.
Shea.
Yeah,
Max
I can't.
right.
The season was so bad. I just no, because
That's why
that
it's good
I know
to call it Shea.
to be historical. But no, I would like to see numbers that take that out to see, because that was one. I think it was the highest station at one point. I don't know, but it was a high number of incidents it was attributable to that station. And I just want to see if you took it out. No?
No, but we did put a lot of manpower into managing risk there, because we were having a lot of crowding. Not in the past couple of years, but about two years ago, we had a lot of crowding there. So we put people at the doors of the trains.
Right.
But
but there weren't a high number of incidents at that station? No?
No, Shea has, that's Willard's point, has not been a key location for gap accidents. And I think it's, as Ray said, we had such an intense effort when they were building the new stadium to make sure we guided customers through using public transit, that we sort of naturally slowed everybody down. But we'll go back and take a look just in case,
Yeah, because if that's, I congratulate you on this effort. I think that last report, I think it was my first meeting, there was a great decrease. We were happy to see that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. And let's see, we
covered
the charter as an action item,
Yep.
and that brings us to procurements. There are 3 procurements in this month's package totaling $384,000. There are 2 items in the non-competitive section totaling $225,000, and 1 item in the competitive section totaling $159,000. The items in the non-competitive section are 2 sole source procurements, including a personal services contract to HK Systems for a 3-year period, not to exceed the amount of $125,000, to provide both on-site and off-site technical services in support of our automated material handling system and the train movement alarm system at our Hillside facility. May I have a vote on the non-competitive procurements?
Any questions on the non-competitive? Motion? Second? All in favor? Aye.
And then there is 1 item in the competitive section, and that is request for approval of a contract modification with Lichtenstein Consulting Engineers for design and construction phase services. We are about to undertake very important bridge repair work at Powell Creek and Hog Island Channel simultaneously. We believe that it's advantageous to have them on site, and because we're working on both locations, we would ask them to give us personnel for both locations to ensure that anything that we discover during the actual construction process, we would have the design engineers on board to help us address. So with that, we would ask for a vote on the competitive procurement.
Any questions on this one? No. Motion to approve? Second? All in favor? Aye.
And there are
Okay.
no ratifications this month, but we do have our 3rd quarter inventory report. And if there are any questions, we'd be happy to look at those.
Any questions on inventory? Nope. Okay. Any other matters to come before the committee?
No, that's it, and we
Okay.
thank you.
Motion to adjourn? Second? Thank you very much. See you next month.